Alright, Geordie Prepper here. Welcome to the Prepper News broadcast. Today is the 26th of February 2024 and it's a Monday. Firstly, we're looking at this US airman. He was active serving airman. He was streaming and then he approaches the Israeli embassy outside and then he just sets himself on fire. He succumbed to the injuries, so he self-deleted as a protest. This is an extreme way to protest. It's your right to protest, but doing this sort of thing just gets absolutely... It doesn't advance the protest cause, whatever you're protesting against. It won't stop what you're protesting against, and it just isn't worth your life. Last December, someone tried to do self-delete as well, outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. It doesn't say whether he actually deleted himself doing this, but still, it's a horrific, very horrific way to protest, especially doing this to yourself. Looking at the Hezbollah Israeli situation, this really could pop off at any minute. We're starting to see escalations in the number of rockets that are being fired and the frequency that they're being fired. And, it's exchanging daily fire between the two sides. So they've been keeping it to the borders. Obviously, both sides have got forces built up along the border. So they seem to be keeping it very contained, either side of the border. Just short-range ammunition, short-range rockets, and they're hitting targets, obviously, within a certain range. This affects all of us as preppers, so check your preps months next month, March, day one, March the 1st. Just take a serious look at your preps. This Hezbollah Israeli thing, if it pops off, that would just be a massive escalation in the Middle East. Then Hamas might take advantage of it because then Israel's fighting a war on two fronts. And, I really don't think they've got the manpower to face several enemies at the same time, because they're conducting strikes on Syria and Iran as well. And, eventually it's going to come to a point where it's just one guy trying to fend off like 4 or 5 people. It's just not going to end very well for that one guy, no matter what weapon he's got. So this article is really breaking down Hezbollah's rockets and, what they've got, what the range of the missiles is, how many they've got. And this first paragraph here is really quite amazing. Entered the war against Israel in 2006, and they estimate to have 14,000 projectiles. It was a mixture of rockets, missiles, various ranges. The conflict lasted 34 days, and by the end of it, Hezbollah had gone through about half of it. So roughly 7,000 rockets, projectiles, etc. were spent in 34 days. And then in the aftermath of the war, basically, Hezbollah has just had nothing much better to do. There was supposed to be like sanctions and other things so that they couldn't build a stockpile of munitions. But today, their cash is estimated between 150 and 200,000. That's more than 10 times what they had back in that previous conflict that they've got now. It's a much broader and a much more potent range of weaponry as well. They've got ballistic, anti-air, anti-tank, anti-ship, mortars. They've got drones. Of course, drones are the new thing in modern warfare, so really they're a lot more capable now than what they were back in 2006. This article really just breaks it down. So this is really worth a read if you really want to look at and see what the capability of Hezbollah is right now, or close as what we can tell their capability is. Obviously, we're not going to know the full extent of their capabilities and the exact figures, but this really breaks it down. So Red Sea is obviously a lot happening there still. Houthis still attacking. The Red Sea shipping disruption has hit more than half of British exporters. A lot of exporters were relying on ships going through that route. It's effectively been cut off. The companies which operate the cargo ships, they just don't want to go through that region. There's absolutely no reason to put ships and people at risk. It's starting to affect British exporters. Obviously, this is going to have a knock-on effect for prices. If you can get good deals on all of the stuff that you use, then, get it now, because There's obviously a delayed effect to these attacks on the shipping, and then the prices going downhill towards the consumer. It does take a while to the consumer, the price increases. So like I said, check your preps month is next month. So make sure that you do an evaluation, relying on a product which is coming from overseas. Then obviously monitor the price of it. See if you can get a good deal now in a month or 2 or 3 months. Whatever you've bought abroad, which has to go on a container ship, is going to be way more expensive when you next look at it. So take the opportunity next month, with Check Your Preps month, to really evaluate and prioritize your stock. So with conflicts, there's all sorts of impacts. There's impacts on humanitarian impact. There's financial impact. There's availability of stock and trade impact. But there's also an effect on nature, very localized effect in the areas that these things are happening. And this ship that was attacked in the Red Sea, the Rubimar, it was attacked a few days ago, and it's not sank yet, but obviously it's carrying a lot of fuel, and this has been leaking oil into the Red Sea. This has a very localized effect on nature as well, and the wildlife that's present in the Red Sea. It's just one more thing that's happening due to this senseless conflict. So a bit of weather now. This is really just localized to Britain, but Met Office is basically warning that it's going to be up to about 6 inches of snow in certain areas. And Scotland, England and Northern Ireland looking to be affected on Friday. So make sure that you winterize your vehicle. Just pack some extra stuff in your car. Extra clothes, some snack bars, protein bars. That's a good thing to stick in. Get some sort of battery pack. Don't leave that in your car, your battery pack, because that'll affect its performance. But keep it on you. Leave it in the vehicle when you're in there, and then take it out when you leave. And then that its performance is going to be good. But extra food, water. Stick a couple of bottles of water in the vehicle. Again, watch out for below freezing conditions in your vehicle, because if the water freezes, it's going to expand and burst the bottle. But just use your common sense, guys. Extra blankets, things like that. And, just make sure that your vehicle's sound. You got antifreeze and a shovel just to dig yourself out, and a fire extinguisher. Obviously, everybody should have a fire extinguisher in the vehicle. Just be a little bit more careful towards this weekend, guys, if you're in this area. That's the end of today's Prepper News. Thanks very much for watching. Be safe, be prepared, and I'll see you in the next broadcast. This has been Geordie Prepper, signing out.